So it turns out that not every good guy is actually ready for marriage. But the good news is there is a way to tell who is who. And when I say a way, I mean one way. And that's what we're going to talk about. Let's get into it.
Choose your Pokemon.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we show you how to find and build a marriage that lasts as a Muslim. I'm Zahra Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 4 years.
And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel on YouTube, please do. It really helps us out. And before we get started, 3 things, all really fast, In Shaa Allah. Firstly, it's April now, which means we are in the second quarter of the year, and we will be starting a new topic for the next 3 months. If you remember, we just finished an episode on we finished a series on red flag individuals the previous quarter. I put all of those into a playlist that you can check out when you're interested. But for this quarter, we will be focusing on green flag individuals and how to recognize them and what to do when you're in a talking stage with one. So that was the first thing. The second thing is that I have an announcement for our single Muslimas. So many women are making dua for a good husband, but they're not actually putting themselves in places where he can find them. If that's you, I'm excited to announce the Tie Your Camel Challenge, 5 days to start meeting marriage-minded men. This is a free step-by-step guided process with me where I show you exactly how to position yourself to meet men who are serious about marriage. So if you're interested and you would like to know how to actually tie your camel when it comes to finding a husband, sign up using the link in the description. And finally, this is specific for this episode. I know I'm going to be using a lot of gendered language again, but more than anything, we do that for the algorithm so that the algorithm knows what we're talking about. But as before, everything I am saying can also be applied to women. So this could easily have been titled "The Difference Between a Good Woman and a Marriage-Ready Woman." Does all of that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, sounds good. Now let's get started. So this week's episode is entitled "The Difference Between a Good Guy and a Marriage-Ready Man." So I'm going to ask you, who is a good guy and a marriage-ready man, what does a good guy or a good man mean?
Just to clarify, when she says marriage-ready, she's not talking about a second wife.
You know what?
I'm already married.
I'm so glad you pointed that out.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, so let's start with good man.
Yeah.
What is a good man? What makes a man a good man?
What makes me a good man?
No, just in general.
I'm extremely humble. I think I'm the most humble man on earth.
Barakallah fi.
Legitimately speaking, I think just the fact that people say that Donald Trump is super humble. He's actually not.
No?
I've taken that mental.
Who's the people?
He himself says it.
He's the guy.
No one agrees with him. No one agrees with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as the most humble man in the world, let me ask you.
Self-proclaimed, by the way.
Okay. All right, Mr. Self-proclaimed.
It just makes it funnier.
It really does. But what makes a good man a good man?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't even know I was a good man in the first place.
Okay, but in general, if you were to come across, let's say you have a sister or a cousin or just a woman that you care about from your family.
Yeah.
And she's being approached by a gentleman.
Yeah.
And you're trying to decide, first of all, is this guy a good guy?
Well, you're trying to decide is he a gentleman?
Yeah, is he someone who would be good for this woman that you care about?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'd have to determine if the man is a gentleman or if he's just riffraff,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Will he treat her right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Does he have tendency to get angry easily?
Mm.
Is that an issue?
Yeah.
Does he recognize his own flaws? Right? And if he does, would he be willing to write them down on the back of a piece of paper that he's not willing to send out? Accidentally sends it out.
Okay.
And then he waits at the post.
All right. So this is a very specific reference, extremely niche, to a show that we're watching called Trying. But yes, I get what you're saying. And a lot of what you're saying is actually is pretty spot on. It's
Yeah.
pretty spot on. And when I say that, I mean like just in terms of my own definitions.
If you ask, what are your weaknesses? If he gives any answer that's akin or very similar to, I try too hard, I work too much, things like that, then that's going to be a huge issue.
So in my opinion, like I agree with a lot of what you're saying, right? But let's try to nail down these definitions, right? The way that I talk about or conceptualize what is a good man, especially with respect to the marriage market, right? So a good man who's approaching a woman for marriage, what makes him a good man is his intentions. Are his intentions lining up with what he's saying? Right? So if a man is saying, I am ready for marriage and I want to get to know you for the purpose of marriage and that's all I want to do, and his intention actually lines up with that, that makes him a good man. So then the next question is, well, if you take all of the good men, and there's quite a few of them, how many of them are actually ready for marriage? What makes a good man elevate to the next tier? What is it, S tier? That's what they say is the highest tier.
Yeah, at this current juncture in our lives,
Yeah.
S tier is the highest tier.
Okay.
I'm working on the next level.
Okay. So what makes a man go from A tier to S tier? That of a man who's ready to take on the mantle of getting married and taking care of a family.
I would say like a general disrespect for the order of alphabet.
Okay, what other than that, sir, what else would make him marriage ready man?
Just the fact that he's willing to try, I think. Just the fact that he wants to communicate. Just the fact that he tells you, hey, if anything goes wrong,
yes,
in our relationship,
yes,
it's not going to be my fault. It's going to be your fault.
yes. Okay. All right. That's very close to what it is that I have, but let's flesh it out a little bit. Okay, so I said at the beginning of this episode that there is one difference between a good man and a man who's ready for marriage, right? Instead of just saying it, right? So just be patient with me a little bit. We're going to develop it.
Communication.
Right? Yeah, we're going to develop it a little bit so that when we say it at the end, the context will be there and it'll be understood.
Yeah,
right?
I get what you're saying.
Okay. So we said a good man is a man whose intentions follow with what it is that he's saying. His intentions follow and are consistent with his words to the best of his knowledge, right? So what makes him actually ready for marriage is whether or not he understands the weight of the responsibility of marriage and is willing and capable of carrying it.
Yeah.
Right? So he might think, like, and this is everything I'm saying can applies to women as well, but he might think that okay, you know what? I want to get married. I've met this Khadija. She's a beautiful woman. We're fairly compatible. Let me pursue this woman, right? And he might have all of those wonderful thoughts and all of those wonderful ideas, but he might not be fully aware with what marriage entails, right? He might be maybe younger. He might be a little bit naive to that. Even if he's older, in his 30s and his 40s, and just never been married before, he's still naive to that, right? Because we don't know what we haven't experienced.
Yeah.
Right. Until I was married, I had no idea what marriage was. I just knew what I thought it was. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he might not yet be ready to carry that responsibility, even though that he thinks he does. There are multiple cases, multiple different archetypes of people who are in this category. One example could be of somebody who is in love with the idea of love, right? There's both through men and through women. There's quite a few people who are in this category who believe that I really want companionship because I really like this feeling of being in love and what that means to me. And I really like the idea of my emotional needs being met and being reassured and feeling really good in this way. And I really like the idea of, just sitting on the couch and watching your favorite shows and just the fantasy of it all, right? Of walking hand in hand, going to Umrah together, just like that, those fantasy images of it all. There are some of us who are more in love with the feelings of being in love and the picture and the fantasy rather than the actual experience of being married.
Yeah.
And there is a subtle difference, but this is a real phenomenon. And the way that you'll know that this might be what's going on is that as you get closer to the reality that you might actually have to get married to this person, you get more and more hesitant, right?
Yeah.
So I've been on the other side of this before, where people have pursued me for the purpose of marriage, and I could see right away that they were in this category. I remember one gentleman in particular, right? I could see right away that he was in this category. Very nice person, but when my sister and I went to go meet with him, he did a lot of things that were from books and from movies, right?
Yeah.
Like he specifically said, I'm going to walk on the outside of the street so that if a car jumps the sidewalk, I will be injured first rather than you and your sister. God forbid.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, sir, continue. Right. So it was just a lot of those little things, like throughout the evening. He's just pointing out different things that he's wanted to experience.
Yeah.
Just announcing it. It's just announcing.
Oh my God, a puddle.
Yes.
Please take my jacket.
Yes. If there had been a puddle, I guarantee that's what would have happened. Right. Very lovely gentleman. And what happened is that it's like that idea of an unstoppable force comes up on an immovable object.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had this idea that he wanted to get married, and he met me, who actually wanted to get married.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, yeah, no worries. The next step is you're going to meet with the rest of my family. He asked me what's next. I said, that's what's next. Let's move this right along. And he said, no, thank you. He said, I thought I was ready for marriage. It turns out I was really not. I'm going to need to go do some work on myself. And I said, no problem at all, In Shaa Allah. May Allah make it easy for you. But he was in love with the idea of love.
Yeah.
So he was a good person who was not ready for marriage. Another person in this category, someone who is rebounding, who is coming out of another engagement or talking stage or even marriage, but usually engagement or talking stage, and who's still carrying a lot of the hurt and the pain. And subconsciously, they just want to stop being in pain. And they understand on a subconscious level, the fastest way to do that is to find a replacement for the separation anxiety. So this gentleman goes out and he meets Khadija, and he's like, I really like Khadija. I'm going to pursue her for the purpose of marriage. And that's what he believes his intention is. But we'll say they're in a talking stage, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months go by. Things are moving along. But as things are moving along, the Fatima, who he had been previously engaged to, comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, how are you doing? And maybe we were hasty. Let's talk things through. He still has a lot of feelings there. And he's like, yes, let's talk things through. And now he has to have a conversation with Khadija.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So he thought that he was ready to take on the mantle of being married to this woman, but he wasn't actually, right?
Yeah.
So these are just a couple of different archetypes. We'll do one more. There is a archetype that I speak about with my clients called the parental codependent. So there are, and this is true for both men and women, right? Sometimes there will be an individual who has a very strong codependent relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
The ones that are particularly harmful to marriages is when a gentleman is a very codependent relationship with his mother. Just because the dynamics in that relationship are so well known, books have been written about it, very predictable, very, very easy to spot. So this gentleman might want to get married, right? And he's very serious about marrying, and he meets Khadija. He's like, let's get married to Khadija. I have all of these wonderful intentions. I want to meet her family. I'm going to take care of her. And then his mother will come out and say, I don't really like Khadija.
Yeah.
I know it's been 5 months, etc., but I don't really like her. And I don't want you to get married to her. Because he has this codependent relationship with his mother, and she hasn't provided any good reasons. There's nothing really valid except that she just doesn't like the fact that her son is getting closer to another woman, which is usually what's happening. He's like, I'm so sorry, Khadija, I'm not actually ready for marriage.
Be gone.
Exactly. So these are situations of people who are good people, who have the best intentions at the conscious level, right? Who believe that they're ready for marriage, but they're not actually ready for marriage. Now,
there's also the subliminal, right? Which is, it's harder to catch.
Yeah.
But it's like when someone has already married you
mm-hmm.
and they're like, I love you,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
You know that person was ready for marriage. Yeah. They were in love with you, right? But when someone says, I love the thought of you, that's a person
it's very
that is not ready.
Yes, exactly.
Right? They married you for the wrong reasons.
Yes. So a good man is a man who his intentions are in line with what he says.
Yeah.
But his ability to follow through with that and actually take on the mantle and the responsibility of being married is not quite there. It's not quite ready,
mm-hmm.
right? And these are some reasons why that might not be the case. Now, let's take this a little bit step further. What is needed? Because I know the next question that a gentleman in particularly would ask me is, okay, all right, that's fair. What do you mean by responsibility of marriage? What does that entail? What do you know that I don't know that is required in marriage? So I'm going to ask you.
Well, first and foremost, I'm speaking on behalf of other couples right now.
Okay.
Because I don't need much of this. Patience. You know? Patience is something that you need, specifically in the instance of, like, if you guys are having a mild disagreement
mm-hmm.
on some sort of spelling of some word, right?
Yes.
Patience is actually quite useful in those instances.
Is this about the way that I spell assalamu alaikum?
No, that's not. I don't think that's got anything to do with patience, right? With regards to patience, sabr is the Arabic word for it, I believe. The next thing is
more patience.
No, compassion, right? When your wife or your husband acquiesces and agrees that you're correct, you don't want to continue rubbing their face in it, you know?
All right, so this is definitely about the way I spell assalamu alaikum.
Plead the fifth. I'm in Canada. I can't do that.
Okay.
So
patience.
So basically, like, you've got the patience, you've got the compassion.
Yes.
Where the person acquiesces, and then I guess the third most important aspect for men specifically, right?
Yes.
Is the willingness to provide for their wife.
Okay.
If they're not willing to provide for their wife, they should not get married. Okay.
I agree with everything you said, to the point that basically what I will be saying is just rewording that, right? Okay. I think that one of the most important, if not the most important thing that is required in order to be ready for marriage is a willingness to protect the integrity of your marriage, not only by protecting you from intruders from the outside, but also by protecting the marriage from your own self, from your own baggage.
And your children.
Well, yeah, not from your children, but your own emotional baggage, right? Another way of saying that is, are you willing to take the responsibility for your baggage so that it doesn't harm your marriage, right? Because all of us are carrying our own core wounds, our own triggers, our ego, we're very used to doing things our way. We've spent our whole life pretty much living on our own, right? Not in a romantic relationship up until this point. Living with your siblings and family is different. There's still a level of independence there, right? But when you're in a romantic relationship, it's things are now different. Things are now shifted. You're going to have to learn how to emotionally regulate in the moment to moment of your day. And over a longer term, you're going to have to come to terms with all of those things that you've been numbing up until this point. So if we go back to the previous examples where you had, for example, the person who was the maternal, in this case, codependent. So the individual who had a codependent relationship with his mother, that was preventing him from getting married. And even if he did get married, from having a long lasting, happy marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order for him to become marriage ready, he's going to have to deal with the baggage of that codependent relationship with his mother.
Yeah.
Does that make
For
sense?
the French speaking of us,
Yes.
luggage.
Okay, luggage. So he's going to have to unpack and examine what's going on with him, that he doesn't really have those boundaries that are healthy and are part of our religion with his parents, that other people seem to have. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to be able to set those boundaries with his parent, so that he can have space to have a healthy marriage and a relationship. For the gentleman or the individual who is rebounding, they're going to have to deal with the baggage of the previous relationship, unpack that, deal with the separation anxiety, and let go. Otherwise, in order to be able to become marriage ready. So
a big problem with parental codependency is they do tend to gossip about their partner.
That's one of the issues. That's definitely one of the issues, right? Like, there's all kinds of shows that illustrate what the extremes of these relationships can look like that are on television. Don't look it up. It's pretty terrible. But the important thing is that we all, whether we're in these archetypes or not, every single one of us carries our own baggage from just living life up until this point, whether from childhood, whether from previous relationships. As an example, for me, being fully 100 transparent, what I was carrying is that I had pretty strong fearful avoidant attachment. So what that meant is that whenever I would get any hints of rejection, and usually they were imagined, just any imagined hints of rejection or being pushed away, my instinct would be to put up all of my guards, to push you away, and just, especially during the talking stage, just be like, I'm out.
You can't fire me, I quit.
Exactly. I'm gonna leave before you can't reject me. I've already left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And carrying that into our marriage is also a problem, because that means anytime there's any kind of imagined rejection,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately start pushing you away, being very cold, and being very quiet, like a bunch of things that are pretty terrible. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was my responsibility, in order to become marriage ready, to be able to take accountability for my baggage, open it up, and start to address it directly. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the difference between somebody who's a good person and somebody who's actually marriage ready is a willingness to deal with their baggage.
What some people don't understand or don't recognize is that typically when you have your baggage, right, it's usually quite heavy.
Yes.
And when you open up your baggage, people tend to lighten the load, even if they didn't intend to take anything out earlier.
Yes.
Their hands just idly start pulling things out.
Oh, yeah.
And your baggage is now less.
That's true. Yeah, so simply by just naming it.
Yeah.
Just spending the time to be honest with yourself. If that requires going to counseling, and you have access to counseling, that's wonderful. That's a blessing. And having somebody reflect back to you if you're having trouble naming it. But just being honest with yourself about what's going on within you that is preventing you from start getting married, or even after you get married, that would prevent you from having a happy, healthy relationship that you deserve, right? And that your partner would deserve. So that's the difference between being a good person and being marriage ready, is to deal with your baggage, to get control of our egos. As human beings, we all have egos. To learn how to be emotionally regulated and come to the table as people who are willing to work at the relationship.
And just to clarify, it's being a good person and being a good person who's marriage ready.
Yeah.
Not necessarily being a good person and then being marriage ready.
Yeah, there's exactly. They're not mutually exclusive.
They're not exclusive.
No, you need to be a
No.
good person to be marriage ready. And when I
Exactly.
say a good person, I don't mean like I just mean somebody whose intentions match their words. Right?
Yeah.
That's all in this context, that's all it means.
And just to further clarify, mathematically,
okay.
good person on one side, good person who's marriage ready on the other side, they don't cancel out.
No.
You don't just get marriage ready on the other end.
So I say all of this to say is that we have like I know this is a conversation that I had to have with myself, especially after the divorce. Is to be honest with myself. I'm like, hey, okay, so let me find out whether I'm actually marriage ready. Like, what are my blind spots? Like, where are the places where my intentions might not actually be what I think they are on a subconscious level? Because anyone who has fearful avoidant attachment understands that their intention at a subconscious level is to find reassurance, to find somebody to give them reassurance, right? So if I was not aware of that, then that was going to be affecting my choice of partner. And even if I accidentally chose the right partner, which in my case I did, alhamdulillah, it would affect them any marriage that I would have with them, right? Because it's just going to cloud everything. So you need to spend a little bit of time, be honest with yourself. If you can find somebody to reflect that back to you, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, or a really good friend, find out what your blind spots are, unpack your baggage, and come up with a plan for how to deal with it in order to become marriage ready. Mm-hmm. And when you are talking to people, right, the other person, and you're trying to decide for yourself, is this gentleman or is this gentlewoman ready for marriage herself? Right? This is part of the equation that you are keeping in the back of your mind. Is this person an actual green flag that I can continue a talking stage with and potentially build a marriage with? This is what you're thinking in the back of your mind. Is this someone who has dealt with their baggage?
Yeah.
Right? And there are ways to be able to delineate or to read what an individual's baggage might be. That's what I teach to my clients and my courses. But in general, it's a question about baggage.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you tell. So it's hopefully that's a little bit clear. In Shaa Allah, that made sense. Did that make sense?
It made sense to me. Yes.
All right, I'm glad. So if that, let me know in the comments. Hopefully, what I said made sense. But it's one of those episodes that is a little bit abstract in nature. But the reason why I wanted to make this the first topic for our green flag series is to keep this idea in the back of your mind, right? That ultimately what makes an individual a green flag is whether or not they're able to take care of their own things, to take care of their own baggage, because that requires a level of emotional availability. It requires a level of willing to be vulnerable with yourself.
Maturity.
Yeah, and before you're able to do anything else. Because when you are in a marriage and life comes up, lifes, right? Like we see all the things that are happening on the news worldwide. We see that everybody's struggling, right, in so many different ways worldwide right now. You need to have a partner who is at least capable of dealing with their own baggage in order to be able to help you and for you to help them navigate not only your marriage, but all of the external factors affecting your marriage together in a healthy way, right? Because if you have your issues, whether it's an attachment insecurity, whether it's a previous trauma, whether if it's whatever it could be, that are constantly triggering the two of you, not only would the real problems are not going to be getting solved, but it will damage the relationship between the two of you. It can result in resentment. It can result in distrust. It can result in all kinds of terrible things that you neither of you deserve, right? So willingness to open up and deal with your baggage. I know it's a little bit repetitive, but I think it's important. important takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's everything for this episode. Is there anything that we're missing?
Not that I can recall.
Perfect. So once again, if you are a young woman and you are on the single and looking for a husband, but you don't know where to start, or you've just gotten frustrated and you're not actually quite sure how to tie your camel, be sure to sign up for the Tie Your Camel Challenge with the link in the description below. In Shaa Allah, that will be coming up next month. Next month in May, In Shaa Allah. And finally, if you have not subscribed on our channel on YouTube, please subscribe. It makes all the difference. You guys know that everything's about the algorithm, and that really helps us out. If you have made it this far in the episode, Jazaa K'Allah Khayr, we really appreciate you choosing to spend your time with us. We know how important that is. I think that's everything. Stay safe. Have a wonderful week. And Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.